Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Links and this is Links Art. Here I give you tips, tricks and techniques to get your artworks done in no time. Over here I just finished sketching the eye and I will be shading this eye, and this in a time lapse I'll be showing you this progressively as I shade this eye. Now, when I draw, I normally place a piece of paper or I do put on a glove. As of now, I did not put on any glove and I'm having a piece of paper to place my hand because it's not always nice drawing with your bare hand on your paper. Now, for one thing, I'm the kind of artist that love testing out different mediums when it comes to drawing. I normally don't limit myself to the actual and ideal working materials. As you can see here in this drawing, this black pen you are seeing here with me is an ink pen. It's not a charcoal pencil or a graphite pencil. This is an ink, which is not really ideal, but art in itself is just based on one's expression, so you don't limit yourself to the materials you use for your drawing. One other medium I love using is the general charcoal pencil. General charcoal pencil tend to give me very nice and dark values, almost as dark as the ink pen, or should I say as dark as your ink pen, and it does not get brown. One thing I don't like when I create my artworks is the presence of the brownish effect you get. Now, it is completely based on preference and by choice. Some companies normally produce pencils that tend to appear brownish when you use them, but your general charcoal pencil is not like that. They are much like your graphite pencils, and when you use them, they tend to be very dark, so I love using general charcoal pencil to get those dark values I want. Another material I love using is makeup brushes. I love using brushes for my blendings rather than... Another material I love using are brushes. Brushes are very nice when it comes to blending some certain areas. It's not really ideal for creating very smooth textures. I use Beauty Blender to create very smooth textures. Now, a beauty blender blends more smoother than your brushes. Your brushes can as well be used to create very smooth blendings, but the difference between your beauty blender and your brushes is that your brushes can be used to blend your artwork while preserving the value in that particular area, but your beauty blender enables you to scatter all those values and create a uniform smoothness, hence making everything seamless. It all depends on how I use them. I use both. At some point in time, I use my beauty blender when it comes to creating very smooth textures on the skin, and I use my brushes when I want to blend some detailed areas and I don't want to remove those details around those areas. And I use graphite pencils as well, but I majorly use my graphite pencils to shade and create light details, areas where I can't use my charcoal pencil because charcoal pencils can be very dark when you are blending with them. So normally I use my graphite pencils for my lightest of values, and I use my charcoal pencil and ink pen for creating those dark values. Now, when sketching, it's best to make use of your graphite pencils when it comes to the lighter values, and it's best to use your charcoal pencil for your darkest of values. That is how you create very realistic artworks, and most professionals tend to use this system. If you try to use your graphite pencils to create very dark values, it tends to reflect and prevent you from creating very realistic artwork. And even when the artwork is finished, it will reflect and prevent you from having a clear visual of your artwork. So I tend to mix these two mediums when I draw. As you can see here, drawing is a progressive thing, is a stage by stage act. So the best way to create realistic artwork is patience and endurance when you are detailing. Now, another tool that can really prove to be very effective when drawing is your highlighting tool. You can go ahead and get an highlighting pencil or get an electric eraser or something like a Tombow Mono eraser. Just try to get an highlighting material that can easily give you very sharp highlights, because sharp highlights can really make your artworks look realistic and can give you those reflections you need in order for your artworks to appear way realistic. When drawing, there is one thing you don't want to miss out. Always try to pay attention to your reference. I've noticed that most beginners, while drawing, they get carried away by their detailings and they forget to look at their reference. Paying attention to your reference and shading is what makes your artwork look realistic. Observation and application is what enables you create realistic artwork. Some persons tend to ignore their reference and end up creating something entirely different from what they are doing. Now, for one thing, always try to do this while shading. Pay attention to your sketches. At some point in time when you shade, the sketches tend to run into the background or tend to fade out. Sometimes that can really be a problem because you might miss out on some of those sketches or guides that leads to a proper shading. So when you are blending, always pay attention to those sketches that are vanishing into your paper so that you can increase the contrast or brightness of those sketches so you don't miss out on areas to get dark or areas to make brighter, because your sketches are very important. Now, for creating dark values, I normally use ink pen, which is not really ideal, and I make use of the general charcoal pencil. I think it's my favorite pencil when it comes to creating dark values. And as well, I use the Kimberly Generals, which normally appear green. Like as I mentioned, the general brand of pencil is my favorite when it comes to charcoal pencil. That is the only charcoal pencil I make use of. When it comes to graphite pencil, I'm good to go with any kind of graphite pencil, but the HB brand tend to work fine for me. I don't normally use the B values when it comes to graphite pencil because I substitute that for my charcoal pencil. I use charcoal pencil for my darkest of values and I use graphite pencil for my lightest and mid-tones when drawing. So now this is pretty much how I do my artworks. It's all about paying attention to details and then drawing. Always remember to pay attention to your reference. Pay attention to those values and you are going to do just fine. Now till I see you next time, I'm Do Blinks and this is Blinks Art. Keep creating.